Alrighty, guys. So we have learned the zeros rule and we've practiced it now. And now I want to show you something that actually expands on the zeros rule. So now that we know that the zeros rule is simple, right? That all we do is that we take the numbers. So if we had 50 times 60, that we would ignore the zeros and we would just do 5 times 6, which is 30. And then we would add our zeros onto the back, right? So we had 2 zeros, so I'd add 2 zeros. And then, so 50 times 60 is 3,000. So I'm going to add another page. And so now we're going to move on to another little trick that you can use, which is called the halving and doubling rule. Okay? And this is super easy as well. So essentially, you're going to do both of these things. You're going to half one number, cut one number in half, and you're going to double another number. And the goal, you guys, is you always want to find friendly numbers. Okay? What are friendly numbers? Friendly numbers are tens, they are hundreds, and they are thousands. So you want to double or half to find friendly numbers to multiply with, right? Because these numbers are super easy to multiply, right? So let's say we had the equation 5 times 12. That alone, you might not know that as a basic fact. So what we could do here, check this out. I see this 5 and I know that if I doubled that 5, okay, if I doubled that 5 would become 10. So whenever you double one number, you cut the other number in half. So my 5 would become 10, my 12 would become 6. And now I've got one of these really beautiful friendly numbers that's easy to multiply by. I know my tens times table is super easy. So that would become 60. Okay. What if I had 200 times, we could even do the same thing. 200 times 20, 240 even. Holy smokes, let's make it really hard, right? So I want to look at those numbers and say, can I find a 100, a 10, a 100, or a 1,000 out of there? Yeah, I totally can, right? I could have that, cut that one in half to make it 100. And so if I cut one in half, I double the other, right? It's always the two. If you cut one in half, you double the other. If you double one, you cut the other one in half, right? So that 240 doubled would end up being 480. Now, you might be thinking, oh, Mrs. Ken, that's still hard, but not really, because now we have 48 times 1. That's super easy. 48 times 1 is 48. And so now my second step, I've halved and I've doubled. Now I just do the zeros rule, right? 48 times 1, and then I have 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. So 48,000, a lot easier, right? Let's try another one. 50 times, let's do 18. Okay, so 50 times 18. So I'm going to be looking, can I create a 10? Can I create a 10, 100, or 1,000? Yeah, I totally see that if I doubled that 50, that would become 100. So I doubled that one, so that means I have to cut the other one in half. 18 cut in half is 9. That's a super easy equation now, isn't it, right? So I've done my halving and doubling, and then the next step is I just do my zeros rule. 9 times 1 equals 9. I have 2 zeros. 1, 2, I add those on over there. Okay, so I've done my zeros rule, so the answer would be 900. Let's try one more. Let's try 2,000 times 14. Okay, So again, that one, I mean, not super easy when you just look at it, but if you do this simple to this rule here, right, where we want to be finding, can I get a 10, can I get 100, or can I get 1,000? Well, yeah, if I cut 2,000 in half, that would equal 1,000. So that means I have to double the 14, 28. And then I just do my zeros rule. 28 times 1 is 28. I have 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So 28,000. Now, I've also given you guys in your questions one that's a little bit more challenging that I like to call the double-double rule. I think of double-double like the Tim Hortons rule, right? So it just essentially means that you're going to double twice and half twice. So you'll typically run into this when you have quarters, okay, or 25. So if I said, what's 25 times 9, okay, I'm going to, what was that? Let me just do the math here. No, that's not going to work. I'm going to do 29 times 16. 25 times 16, okay? So in this case, there's nothing that I could double that's going to make a 10 or a half, cut it in half, a 10, 100, or 1,000. But if I double it twice, so if I double 25 twice, first time I double it, it becomes 50. The second time I double it, it becomes 100. So this is a double-double, okay? This is our Tim Hortons rule when you double-double. And typically, you guys, the hint is when you see a 25. 25 is sort of the hint for when you do the double-double because it's a quarter, right? Right? Even when you're thinking of money, this is, oops, not $25. This would be 25 cents, right? And you would need 4 of those to make $1, right? Which is essentially double-double. Okay, so let's go back. I doubled this once to get 50. I doubled it twice to get 100. So I have to do, sorry about my dog, you guys. I have to cut 16 in half one time, which would be 8. And then I'd have to cut it in half one more time, which would be 4. So now I've got my new equation. 100 times 4 equals, I'm going to do my zeros rule. 1 times 4 is 4. I've got 2 zeros, so 400. So 25 times 16 is 400. I didn't need to do any type of crazy multiplication. I just needed to do my Tim Hortons double-double rule there. Okay, so let's try one more where there's 25 in there. So maybe you had 40 times 25. Okay, so I'm looking and I know that, there's that magic number 25. I'm thinking of quarters. 4 quarters are in $1, right? I would need 25 cents plus 25 cents plus 25 cents plus 25 cents. So I'm having to, I'm having to double twice, which is essentially like turning it into 4s, right? Okay. So let's double this to 50, and let's double it again. There's our Tim Hortons double-double rule. There's 100, okay? So when I double one of the numbers, I have to cut the other number in half, right? So let's cut that in half once. 20, cut it in half again. 10. Look at how easy this equation is now, you guys. 1 times 1, I'm just going to do my regular zeros rule now, is 1. And then I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 40 times 25 is 1,000. Look at how much easier it is to find out that solution. Okay, so now you can go ahead. We've seen two different. We've seen the easy version of halving and doubling, where you just do it one double, one half, and you've seen the Tim Hortons double-double rule, which is where you have to do 2 doubles and 2 halves, and the key is to look for that number 25. So you are ready to do some practicing, so move on to the next video to see how you can start to practice this halving and doubling rule.